All right, let's start out by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ruchakudash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is We're Prophecy Heralds. This title came from inspiration of a video I was watching earlier. The Elder Bishop Manatazat, he was doing a lesson based off of prophecy, and he mentioned that we're prophecy reporters. So I wrote that down initially, but I like the word herald a little better. So I'm using the word herald instead of reporters. So we're prophecy heralds. So what is a herald, you may be asking yourself? Well, a herald is an official messenger bringing news. And we're going to get into this. A person or thing viewed as a sign that something is about to happen. And pretty much this is what the prophets did. When the prophets went out to speak, it was either for something good or for something bad. When Samuel came to anoint David king, the people were nervous. They said, are you coming for good or for bad? Because they knew that once they saw the prophets, something was about to go down. Something really, either really bad or really good was about to go down. And the times that we're living in is something really bad about to go down. And this is why we see, we're in the midst of Jacob's trouble. It just hasn't intensified, as it will, in depending on what situations Esau puts out there to escalate this thing. Now, tomorrow's November 1st, which they're supposed to be shutting off the SNAP benefits, EBT, and all this other stuff that that Jake, Esau, and other nations have been using the so-called lower income families, as they call them, whatever the fuck that means. But I get it. You got the rich and you got the poor. That's it. It's just a fancy way of not trying to say poor. So that's what a herald is. An official messenger bringing news. I was going to speak on something that happened at the camp last week, but you know what? I guess I'm just going to go into this because, if the Spirit allows, I'll go into it. It's no big deal, just something I wanted to address. But if the Spirit, has me speak on it within this video, I will. But the Spirit is on me right now to hit and deal with this. So it says an official messenger bringing news. Now, when we go to, it's in the book of Isaiah. Just bear with me while I get it. All right. I don't know if it's one word in the book of Isaiah. No. So, let's see. All right. Let's do it this way. Let's go to Luke chapter 4. All right, so let's do it like this. Spirit's telling me it's Isaiah 61. Yep, this is it. Barakatah B'Shem Shai. All right. I put glad tidings. Oh, it's good tidings. Okay. Isaiah 61:1. The Spirit of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Shai is upon me, because Yahweh B'Shem Shai hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. all right, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and the day of vengeance of our power, to comfort all that mourn, because Yahushai came to give the good news that the Lord, that Israel found good graces in his sight once again through the sacrifice of Yahushai. And also he was bringing, tidings of the destruction of the heathen empires that would be ruling. A lot of them believed it would happen back then, but it's really happening now, because the beast that was in power at the time, the Roman Empire, had to fall and had to be rebuilt again, all over again. And that happened during the time of the Renaissance. When the time of the Renaissance was in full bloom, that was a great time of deception, and that began the building blocks, if you may, for the the resurrection of the ancient Roman Empire. So let's look up this word, glad tidings, or good tidings. Anointed me to preach good tidings. The word there is bashar. Bashar. It says to bear news, bear tidings, publish, preach. See, so we are, prophecy heralds. Bringing in tidings, glad tidings to the elect, and bad tidings to the non-elect. The non-elect being the 2/3 of the nation of Israel. And that is the job of a prophet. The job of a prophet is not to go out there debating. When you go back into the ancient world, when the prophets were out speaking, teaching the words of the Lord, preaching, they weren't out there debating with Jake. They were telling Jake what it was. And Jake, whether they listened or not, it was of no consequence to the prophet. This is why the Lord told Ezekiel, tell them whatever I tell you to tell them, you tell them. Don't worry about if they believe it or not. And that's the same sentiment, throughout the prophets. Don't worry if they believe it or not. If they don't believe it, so what? That's still not going to change the outcome of what the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai spoke. So tell them anyway, because when you tell them and they don't accept it, they don't get involved, eventually what's going to happen is the word that the Lord spoke through the prophets is going to come to pass. And it'll be at that moment that that individual or individuals that didn't take heed are going to be in a effed up situation. And they're going to wish that they listened. And at that point, when you find yourself in a vulnerable position, in a real life or death situation, all of a sudden now you want to be zealous for the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's why he said, let's go real quick to the book of Hosea, chapter 5. The Lord covered all bases, man. Hosea chapter 5 and verse 15. It says, I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their affliction, they will seek me early. Yeah, because as long as Jake is doing good, Jake is not concerned with the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. They're not concerned with doing the right thing. They're not concerned, with doing the things that are pleasing to the Lord. The only time Jake prays to the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is when they're either sick, at the point of death, or about to get locked up for a long period of time in jail, or some type of calamity comes upon them, some type of disease or something comes on them, some type of debilitating disease or whatever the case may be. That's when Jake gets zealous for the Lord, and seeking the Lord truthfully. Now, in general, Jake does have that zeal for the Most High, for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, but it's not according to knowledge, because they still go about, looking for, religions or other Israelite groups that cater to their lifestyle. Jake is never, coming to the Lord with a pure heart as far as, I'm going to serve the Lord and whatever he says, that's what I'm going to do. They come to the Lord like, okay, well, the Lord is going to have to work his schedule around mine, because this is the lifestyle that I chose. This is the lifestyle that I've built. So when they see a particular religion or a particular Israelite group out there that caters to their lifestyle, that's why they're drawn to it, which shows you that they're not drawn by the word. Scripture say, receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. And that's, how you can determine someone that's true and someone that's full of shit. because the ones that are true are going to be drawn to the word. The ones that are full of shit are going to be drawn to the gimmicks, to the entertainment, you know. And the Lord spoke about Jake, you know, in that fashion. You know, they come to you as my people cometh. You know, they love. It's like a lovely song, but when it comes time to putting in the work, oh no. But they don't want to do the work, right? But then when the time of reaping comes and the Lord is about to judge, you know, the world, then they want the protection of Yahweh Bashem Shai, when all along they kept pushing away the very thing that was able to help them, which is this word, the glad tidings, the good news, the gospel. This Hosea 6:5, therefore have I hewed them by the prophets. See, so the Lord hewed them by the prophets. How? By the words of the prophets. Let's go. We'll come right back to this. Jeremiah 5:14, Elder Apostle Gabar's favorite scripture. Jeremiah 5:14, it says, wherefore thus saith Yahweh Bashem Shai, the power of hosts, because you speak this word, behold, I will make my words in thy mouth fire, and this people wood, and it shall what? Devour them. So how has the Lord devoured Jake? By his words. This is why when you go to the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, from the 15th verse to the 68th verse, it gives you a blow by blow of how to identify the Israelites in these times. It tells you what conditions they would be in, what they would be suffering. So this is the Lord using his prophets to devour Jake by his words. So he's making Jake the wood, and he's making the words in the mouths of the prophets fire. And the Lord said his words don't go out void. So once the Lord sets that word out, that word is a heat-seeking missile. The curses are heat-seeking missiles, and they're directed at the Israelites. This is why in the book of Deuteronomy 28, around the 45th verse, it says that. It says that this is how you're going to know who the Israelites are. Matter of fact, I'm going to get that, but let's finish this out. Let's go back and let me finish this up. And then we can go back, or we can go to Deuteronomy. Matter of fact, let me just pull it up so I could have it. Boom, 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 boom. All right, so let's go back. So it says here, Hosea. Well, actually, it's supposed to be 5:15. I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their afflictions, they will seek me early. So the Lord said, when Jake is in his afflictions, that's when they're going to seek the Lord early. So when they're doing good, they're not concerned with what the Lord has to say. So we are here to be heralds. We're prophecy heralds. We're here to tell you what's coming through what was revealed to us by the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai. And by now, by 2025, almost 2026, we got 2 more months to 2026. Today is the last day of October, that demonic so-called holiday. You know, I'm about to say Easter, which that's demonic too. Halloween. This is the last day of October 2025. Tomorrow's the 1st. You know, tomorrow we'll see what's going to happen. It's the weekend. So sometimes business on the weekend doesn't function like that. But when it comes down to those, you know, benefits, you know, I believe they still give it to you on the weekend anyway. So we're going to see. You know, Jake is talking about going to Walmarts and, you know, and different places and just taking food. They can't catch all of us. Well, we're going to see what's going to happen. You know, let's see what goes down tomorrow. So this is Deuteronomy 28 and 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee. So the Lord said, it's not that it might or it may be, or no, they're going to come upon us. And it actually happened. It took us, and shall pursue thee, meaning wherever we go, it's going to follow us. You can go to the most remotest mountains in Tibet or Nepal or wherever. You could go to a place where no one else is. And guess what? The curses are going to be right there looking at you. Because these curses are heat-seeking missiles for the elect. These curses are a GPS for the elect. Brother had told me, I said that years ago. I don't remember saying it. But it makes sense. It says, and overtake thee. So not only are they going to be following you wherever you go, no matter what turn you make, no matter what investment you make, no matter what you do, the curses are going to follow you and they're going to overtake you. Because your arms are too short to box with the Lord. You're not going to be able to escape the judgment of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And this is what we're telling you. We're giving you, well, not us, the Lord has given you a door of mercy to what's coming. And what's coming is this whole digital system that you see being brought out right in front of you. And as it's being rolled out right in front of you, and it's plain as day that the micro CHIP is an MOTB, you still got these leaders and these major camps from former One West that are still denying it. And some of you, because you don't want to accept the reality of what's coming, you rather cling on to that false hope. Like the scriptures say, promising them peace, peace, when there is no peace. They clenching their teeth. They know there ain't no peace. They know that the shit's coming. Like, oh shit, oh the hell, Tahar, and the GMS, because they hate that. They hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they see that it's all coming to pass, and they think it's not us. It's the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai that put the Spirit on us to bring that out, beginning with Elder Apostle Tahar. And these guys, because of the pride of their heart, or because they sold out, they can't see it, or don't want to see it, or can't see it, or they see it and turn a blind eye to it. Because bags change minds. Bags change minds. That's why it says that a gift destroyeth the heart. So it says, and they shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, meaning destructured. If you had an Israelite from the ancient world come into these times and see Jake in the condition that they're in, they'll either faint, drop dead, or commence to taking Jake out. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They will be like, who the fuck are these? And they'll either faint, drop dead, or commence to taking Jake out. Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee, and they shall be upon thee. These curses shall be upon thee. For what? For a sign, for a GPS. For and for a wonder. In other words, you want to know who the Israelites are? Well, who fits the curses in the book? And it's not them small hats. It's not them tiny caps, tiny tops, mini caps. It's not them. Because we, as a people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, we don't have to create stories and make shit up how we being persecuted. It's evident. They, on the other hand, have to make shit up. They, on the other hand, have to have, they have to have not programs, but agencies set up to constantly tell people that they're suffering, they're catching hell, they're going through this, they're going through that. We don't got to do that. It's evident what we're going through. It's evident we're being persecuted. It's evident we're catching hell. It's evident we're poor. But they got to make shit up. And this is why you have those agencies to report lies to people around the world. Oh, I think I heard somebody say that they might think that there's no might or maybe or think with Jake. You could see it for yourself. Destitute in the hood, destitute on the res, destitute in the barrio, in the favelas, in the shanty towns, catching nothing but pure hell. Why? Because these are the signs and the wonders that will be upon the Israelites, and how you be able to identify them. And upon thy seed forever, and that forever is a long period of time. When Yahushua comes back, that's when the curses stop. When Yahushua comes back, delivers his elect, and the elect get up into that chariot, that's when the curses stop. So all these individuals, like Dr. Umar Johnson and all these other individuals out there that are trying to build and establish an economic community basis, among Jake. That's already been done many times. Elder Malcolm put on the comment board yesterday that there were over 200 cities in America that were thriving Jake communities. I'm talking about Black Wall Street, Rosewood, Seneca Village, and others. And these devils came and destroyed all of them. You have a man-made lake called Lake Lanier. I believe it's just the man. It's a man-made lake called Lake Lanier. Underneath that was a thriving city of so-called Negroes, Judites, that were well-to-do. And the devil, Esau, the so-called white man, being angry and being jealous, destroyed all of them. Why? Because we are under the curses. And when you read down here in the 48th verse, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemy, which the Lord thy power shall send against thee. He also said, matter of fact, you could always come to this. It's, what is it, Haggai? It's either one or two. It's only two chapters. Haggai 1 and 6, right? This is for your well-to-do, places. Your Black Wall Street, your Rosewood, your Seneca Villages, and all of those other prominent so-called Black communities, which are Judites, Israelite communities, that were thriving at one time, that got totally destroyed. So much so that you don't even hear about them like that. It was over 200. So Haggai 1 and 4, is it time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses, right? Your painted houses, nice houses and all that, and this house lie waste? Yeah, because the kingdom of heaven hasn't been built yet. It's in the process of being built, but it's not complete. Because first of all, Yahweh Shai is not here yet to deliver the elect, to make the building complete and perfect. It says, now, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai of hosts, consider your ways. You have sown much and bring in little. Why? Because of the curses. And he says, you eat, but ye have not enough. And we're going to know in these times now, Jake is going to really experience that eating and not having enough, if they get to eat at all. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. You clothe you, but there is none warm. Why? Because Esau right now is taking all of the goodies. Remember, we read that you shall come, but we're going to read it. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. So what happens if you do a hard day's work and you get paid at the end of the day, which is how it's supposed to be according to the law, and you take that money and you put it into a bag that has holes? It doesn't have to be a big hole. And then you're walking with that bag and heading home. And by the time you get home, most of that money is going to be leaked out of there. So this is how the Lord is setting it up. That's why the Apostle Paul said, I've learned to be abased and I have learned to abound. Because as long as we're here in America, as long as we're here in this world, as long as this kingdom is still standing, the curses are still upon us. All right. So let's go back to Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, you want something to eat, and in thirst, you want something to drink, and in nakedness, you want to clothe you, and in want of all things. So whatever Jake wants, they still got to go to Esau. It doesn't matter if you have your own business, because if you have your own business, you still have to have, you still have to pay taxes, right? You still have to, set up. I'm saying if you want to do it, a so-called legal way, right? You still have to set up, different, sign different paperwork, to get certain permits to do whatever it is that you do. You still got to buy material from these devils. So no matter what you do, you're still under this man's rule, even if you have your own business. because the scriptures say, the curses say, we're going to go to him for the one of all things. And he shall put a what? A yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And you see that happen, mainly to Judah, the so-called Negroes, which actually have yoke. If you type that in, yoke of iron, on Google Images, you'll see the pictures that come up. Now it's harder to get them. They used to be able to it used to be easy to get them. Used to all kinds of pictures will come up. Now, not that many pictures come up. And eventually I wouldn't be surprised if they scrub all of that from the internet. Because Trump right now, that devil, he's trying to erase anything that makes America look bad. From how they got this country, through colonization, conquering, and also through slavery. Trying to erase all of that, threatening different institutions with taking their funds away if they don't, if they don't take those things out, which means he's distorting history, which means he's hiding something. Because these devils are tired of hearing about what they did in slavery, what they did to the North American Indians. But that's that shameful spewing on your glory. So going back here, right, we read glad tidings, Bashar, which is to bear news, bear tidings, publish, preach, show forth. All right, now let's go back to what I had here, which is Habakkuk chapter 2 and 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon a tower, Habakkuk 2 and 1, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. Right, and this is the job of the prophets. This is why it says, measure out the time diligently within itself. How do you measure the time? By when you read the scriptures tell you of certain prophetic things that are going to happen. Then when you look on the earth, you see different situations that match what the prophecy says. And that's how that's how you measure the time. That's how you know that, okay, we're getting closer and closer, because Yahweh Shai said, when you see all these things happening, know that I am close, even at the door. Just bear with me 1 second. I got to check something. Okay. So lucky for that. And that's what the job of the prophet is, to watch, for the things happening around the world and the signs that are happening and the tokens that are happening, in order to be able to, give a report. I can file a report. I can't arrest anybody, but I can file a report. Inside joke. All right. So it goes on to say, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables. And it's plain upon tables. And this is so plain that the prophecies are playing out in front of these guys on the MOTB, and they refuse to see it, or they can't see it, or they bags change minds, or they took a bag and the bag won't allow them to see it, because then then they got to suffer the repercussions of whoever it was that paid them. It says that he may run that readeth it, which this is called a post. These are the early postmen. You have the post office and they deliver mail. Well, guess what? You had the post back then. Before I go into that, let's just try put in post meaning. See what comes up. I know they're gonna give me different definitions. A long, sturdy piece of no, we don't want that. A piece of writing, image, or other item of content published online, typically on a blog, blah blah blah. Display a notice in a public place. This is a good one. Like back in the days, you had those wanted posters. So and so, wanted dead or alive. Publish a piece of writing, image, or other item of content online, typically on a blog. Give me the ancient. What did post mean? Subsequent, later, posted. Nope. That's talking about like post, like after. Let me just type ancient post. Let's see what comes up. Ancient post can refer to either historical meaning of post, as in post service, right, or to a literary magazine called the Ancient Post. The Ancient Post was a system. But why you ain't give me the other stuff? Historical meaning of post is in post, ancient post service. Let me just put in service. Service meaning. Ancient post service refers to the earliest system for delivering messages, primarily used by governments for official communications and intelligence. These systems, like the Persian chapter Chapar Kane and the Roman cursus publicus, used networks of relay stations, with fresh horses and riders to transport dispatches quickly across the empire, right? So you had individual that will run, either he would run or take a ship or be on horseback. That's why you have the movie called The Postman, and they would be on horseback delivering what? Mail, messages. Well, that was ancient. The ancient form of it was individuals that would give messages to kings. They would relay messages to different nobles or whatever the case may be. And they had to go from one city or state or whatever to another. Right? Let's see. Let me just type in post, see what comes up in the scriptures. Because there's one that's different. That's dealing with that. Right, this one here, Jeremiah 51:31. One post shall run to meet another. I'm going to look up this, see what this says. And one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end. Right. So those are the ancient posts. In other words, they were deliverers of messages. This is what the prophets are. Prophets are their prophecy heralds. All right. Now let's see what this one says here for post. Now my days are swifted in a post. Let's see. Swifted in a post, or rawatiza. Rawatiza is to run. See, to run, runners, participle as such. Right. So my days are swifted in a post, because the post would run swiftly. Now there's another scripture, which Lord's will I can get it. Let me just get this other one. One post shall run to meet another. It should be the same. Should be the same word, rawatiza. Yep, rawatiza. All right, so now let's see if it, because you could have the word post, you could have the word messenger. Okay, that's going on to the seat by a post. Let me just try to see the hinder. Nope. All right. There's a precept in either Samuel's or Kings where it spoke about when they had sent messengers to tell the king a particular event, and there was two of them that were running, but one was running faster than the other one. To be I can't think of the wording of it. I can't think of it right now, but it's either Samuel or Kings. Let me just try something else. See, another word for post right here is ran, because that's what the posts did. They were messengers. Okay, yep. See, this is it right here. 2 Kings 18 and right. So it says here, 2 Samuel 18 and 19. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, let me now run and bear the king tidings, that the Lord hath avenged him of his enemies. And Joab said unto him, thou shalt not bear tidings this day, but thou shalt bear tidings another day. But this day thou shalt bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. Then said Joab to Cushi, go tell the king what thou hast seen. And Cushi bowed himself unto Joab and ran. See? Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, yet again to Joab, but howsoever, let me, I pray thee, also run after Cushi. And Joab said, wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing that thou hast no tidings ready? But howsoever, and he said, let me run. And he said unto him, run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and overran Cushi. Then David sat between the two gates, and the watchman, and David sat between the two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate unto the wall, and lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man running alone. And the watchman cried and told the king, and the king said, if he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace and drew near. And the watchman saw another man running, and the watchman called unto the porter and said, behold, another man running alone. And the king said, he also bringeth tidings. And the watchman said, me thinketh the running of the foremost, meaning the one in the front, is the running of Ahimaaz, because he was known to be fast, the son of Zadok, after the king said, he is a good man and cometh with good tidings. See? So this is what a job of a post was, to run and bring messages. So this is the job of a prophet. The job of a prophet is to be a herald. A herald is one that gives news, that brings messages. So here in Habakkuk 2:2, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon table, that he may what? Run that readeth it. That word for run here is the word rawatazah, which you read earlier. right there. To run, runners. To run swiftly, dart, to bring or move quickly, hurry, to drive away from cause to run away. So that's the job of the prophet, to run with these words and tell them to listen. This is what's going down. This is what's going to happen. And if you don't get yourself together, you're going to be in a world of trouble. Now, the Lord didn't say, well, if they don't believe you, then just come back and I'll see if I can come up with a better message. No. He said, tell them, and that's that. Because eventually, once the Lord speaks, then the whatever the Lord spoke is going to eventually take hold of Jake, whether it was something good or something bad. And this is why right now you see that we're in the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble. Why? Because the Lord said it. It was written long ago. And through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem El Shai, Great Millstone and affiliate camps have been speaking on this, have been making mention of this over and over again. And back then, when it wasn't popular, when there was nothing happening, you had those that were ridiculing us. They were making fun of us. Then they were saying that there was going to be no Jacob's trouble. Some of them even said Jacob's trouble is gay. All this bullshit and nonsense. And now we actually see it here. So what a characterless individual would say, well, if you listen to me, good moron, I didn't say there wasn't going to be no Jacob's trouble, even though he did say there was going to be no Jacob's trouble. He said, I said that there was nothing happening back then. No, you're a liar. You told the older gentleman that no, I believe you said it like 5 times. There's going to be no Jacob's trouble. It's just going to be business as usual. Then there's going to be a war, and then the Lord's going to come and deliver the elect. Dismissing the whole Jacob's trouble thing. Jacob's trouble is very important because that is the part of the hour of temptation. Right now, depending on what these devils do with this whole SNAP benefit, EBT and all that, if they really cut that shit and have Jake sweating for a couple of weeks or whatever, a month or to the end of the year, or however they're going to do it, that will cause some serious havoc. That will put this devil ahead of the game. Or at least he thinks it will. Because that will actually cripple and actually bring in, a justification for them to send in the martial law troops, to call a state of national emergency, to be able to, get rid of those pesky laws that they can't operate under while the government is running regularly. You see? So this is what these devils plan on doing. So now it remains to be seen. Tomorrow's the first. We'll see. We'll see if individuals out there actually get their SNAP benefits, watching the news and see what's happening. Are these people, are they rioting? Are they going to these different places trying to break into the grocery stores or Walmarts or whatever to get food? We're going to see. All right. So going back, because as a matter of fact, no, let me go back here. So Habakkuk 2 and 2 again. It says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. So we're in the end. And the end speaks with signs, and symbolisms. The Lord said that these things would be happening in these days. And he gave us, certain situations that would be happening on the earth to let us know that we're getting closer and closer. And you, when these things begin to come to pass, know that the desolation thereof is nigh. That goes back to the time of 70 AD, when the Romans came into Jerusalem. But also the Lord said, when you see these things, lift up your head, and pretty much be joyful, for your salvation pretty much is drawing nearer. I'm just merely paraphrasing. I may be putting 2 scriptures together, but it all leads to the same message. The message of deliverance for the elect, the message of despair for the 2/3, the message of destruction for America, Babylon the Great, and just in general, bad times for this world that we see. So let me open up this window. getting hot in here. Okay. So it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. So in other words, prophecies do not move until the Lord is ready for them to move. And this is why we see the scriptures say, wake not my love till he please. And we actually seeing the prophecies moving into motion. They're getting roused up. They're awakening. They've been awakening, but now they're starting to gain more and more momentum. And this prophecy of the MOTB is what has the other prophecies in a bottleneck. Once the prophecy of the MOTB is fully implemented, that's going to open up that bottleneck, and the rest of the prophecies are going to come flooding through. Lightning speed. That's what the Lord said, except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be left to be saved. And this situation right now with the snap EBT and them cutting it off, that could be a real serious situation if these devils actually go through with it. It could be a real serious situation, and it will put them where they want, because it gives them the power through the desperation and the lack of food for Jake out here and for the other individuals out there that get these benefits, to take a digital ID type thing to get that online. And what do you think these people are going to do? They're going to, sign me up. And then once they get that in place, then when they say, well, you got to take this micro C hip, what do you think they're going to do? Majority of them are going to go for it. These devils are the scriptures say that their heart is deep. They accomplish a diligent search. They're more subtle than any beast of the field. They've been plotting and planning this. They've been covering all angles. They've been dotting their I's and crossing their T's. They left no rock unturned. They accomplished a diligent search on how to get the world to comply and voluntarily enslave their own selves and give up their rights in order to become perpetual slaves. This is why, you have, the MDLs, which is the mobile driver's license here in America. 20 states have it, and others are moving towards it. They'll say, well, you'll still be required to have your physical ID, because that puts at ease those that, well, what about my physical ID? I don't know. I don't trust, that puts their mind at ease. But then once they get the system in place, all they can say, nope, no more physical IDs. Now we're going from this digital ID to what? To the MOTB or to the micro C hip. And the system is already in place. So even if you have those that, no, I ain't going, guess what? They're still going to go along with it anyway. They're going to put it out there anyway, because it's prophecy. It says, and not lie. It's not going to lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So it's not going to take a long time. So going back here to the word tidings, bashar, to bear news, bear tidings, publish, preach. In the New Testament, the word is gospel. And the word gospel means good news, which is a message. Matthew 4:23, and Yahushua went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching what? The gospel of the kingdom, and healing all manner of sickness and all manner of disease among the people. When we look up this word gospel, it's a compound word. Evangelion. Evangelion is a reward for good tidings, the glad tidings of the kingdom of the Most High, soon to be set up, and subsequently also of Yahushua the Messiah, the founder of this kingdom, after the death of Yahushua. The term comprises also the preaching of concerning Yahushua as having suffered death on the cross to procure eternal salvation for the men in the kingdom of the Most High, but as restored to life and exalted to the right hand of the Most High in heaven, thence to return in majesty to consummate the kingdom of the Most High. What will be the consummation? When he comes to pick up the purchased possession. Because all of Israel shall be saved, but in this time only the elect are going to be saved. So the elect being saved, that's going to be the consummation of the marriage. Because he's coming back to pick up his bride. And once the bride hits the chariot, that's going to be the marriage supper of the Lamb. Then it's official. And that's when the fun begins. All right? There was something that came to mind with the term comprised. Let me just check something real quick because okay. So there was something that came to mind, but I forgot what it was. So you have here the word euangelizo, which the word euangelion, EU is good. Angelion or angel, you know the angel? Angel is angel or message or messenger, depending on how it's used. Sometimes you'll see the word angel, you'll see the word angelo, you know, and sometimes you'll see the word message or messenger, and you'll see the word angel. And that's the problem with a lot of these individuals. They see the word angel, and all of a sudden they think it's talking about, you know, like a spiritual being. It doesn't always mean a spiritual being. It just means a messenger. Matter of fact, when we go to Micah chapter 3, I'm sorry, not Micah, Malachi chapter 3. I'll show you something. 3:1. Behold, I will send what? My messenger. This is dealing with, you know, Elijah, the prophet, which came as John. And he shall prepare the way before me, which he prepared the way for Yahushua. And the Lord, whom you seek, shall suddenly come to his temple. Even the messenger of the covenant, whom you delight in, behold, he shall come, saith the Lord Yahweh Shemel of hosts. When we look up this word messenger here, you have the word mala'ak. Right now, mala'ak could be angel, could be an actual angel, as you see here, angel, the theophanic angel, or it could be a messenger or a representative. So a prophet is also a messenger, a post, a herald, a reporter. All right, because the prophets are the representatives of Yahweh Bashem El Shai here on the earth. I'm going to come back to this, but let's go to First Corinthians? Nope, 2 Corinthians, chapter 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. 2 Corinthians 5:20. Now then, we are ambassadors of Yahushai, as though the Most High did beseech you by us. We pray you in Yahushai's stead to be ye reconciled to the Most High. So we are the messengers to beckon you, to call you to this marriage. You have the different parables, the parable of the marriage, the great marriage. And you had the servants. The servants would also be the prophets. The servants would be the messengers. The servants would be, you know, the heralds, the reporters. All right, and they went out and they were bidding individuals out there to come to the marriage supper of the Lamb, and they wouldn't come. Some of them did, some of them didn't. So that's the job of the prophets, to tell you what's coming, to give you, the words of the Lord Yahweh Bashem El Shai, so that you could either get yourself together or you could be judged for destruction. For he hath made him to be sin for us who knew no sin, that he might be made the righteousness of the Most High in him. So going back, that's the word evangelion, which is angel, right? Which goes also to the Hebrew word mala'ak, which we were just in right here for the word messenger in the English. This is in the Hebrew though, okay? Now let's go back here. Evangelion, which is message, evangelizo, right? It says to bring good news, to announce glad tidings. See, it's a good message. You have the word here, EU. You can see there, well done, good. Then you have angelos, which is angel or messenger. See? So the word angel, so this is the angelos is the synonymous with mala'ak in the Old Testament. All right. What you have here, a messenger, see, envoy. So it would be a herald, a reporter, one who is sent as the post. And angels, you can have an actual angel, a messenger from the Most High. The scriptures say not to be forgetful to entertain strangers, for some have entertained angels unawares. All right. Let's go back. So that's the good message that we, the Israelites, now have, access back to the Father Yahweh through the great sacrifice of Yahweh Shai. And those Israelites out there that do not get themselves together are going to be destroyed here in America. That's what we speak about, the 2/3. All right. And the message is that we're at the end of the world. Yahweh Shai is about to come back. Esau, the so-called white man, is a devil. They're rolling out a plan to enslave the whole earth economically. It's a global economic plan. And we're telling you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem El Shai that they're bringing in a device to operate this new system. And we're telling you not to take that device to operate in this new system, because if you do, you will be destroyed. And that device is the micro C-hip. Once it's inserted in you. Now they're going to push all different types, digital IDs and different things of that nature to allow you to function, apps and all that to allow you to function in the system. Thus the precursor. So that's not the MOTB. But once they say, okay, now we got to insert this device in you, this micro C-hip in you, that's when you have to make a decision as to whether you're going to refuse or whether you're going to choose. And the elect, the Lord's going to put a spirit in them to refuse that thing no matter what. And this is the message that we're telling you. And you have a lot of individuals out there that should know better, that have been around for the last 30, 35, 40 years, or so, that are telling you different. Like the IUIC and the ISUPK, just to name two major groups out there. And if you take that thing, destruction is coming for you. There's no scripture in the Bible that says, and thus this individual took the micro C-hip, the MOTB, and he repented and the Lord forgave him. Now all things are possible, but I'm a ride with what the elder Pastor said years ago. You could test that theory if you want to. We're not going to test that theory. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.